Here we have a copperhead who's had a bad shed, and my snake room has forced air heat and radiator heat, and it's in the middle of winter, so it's a little dry in here. I try to keep him a little moist, but right now it's dry, so he had a bad shed. Now he's got it off of his belly, and it appears he got it off of his head, so we just have to help him get it off of his back. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put him in a tube so that I can keep his head restrained while I work on his body. So what I do here is I take my snake hook and I'll simply hook him, and I'll grab him with my glove here, and you see he comes up very quickly. I will let him back himself out. He's trying to escape. Stop him when he's right here, and I will slide the tube over him. Then I will slide him up into the tube farther, and then I will remove the glove. Now at this point, as you can see, he's restrained in the tube. He's not going to like it, but he can't really move around too much. Now I'm going to mist his body with some water. And I should be able to gently get his shed started here. And he's giving me a little hard time here. Of course, he doesn't like being restrained like this. I'll get his shed started. Once I get it broke loose and started, it shouldn't take long to get the shed off of him. It should come off almost in one solid piece from where I start here. And again, this is not something he likes, but something that has to be done. Okay, I think I got him here. And once we pull on it a little bit, so once it starts, it should pretty much come off relatively easy. Once the water soaks into the skin, I shouldn't have too much trouble here. Normally, if he was a non-venomous snake, I would soak him in water. But I don't want to deal with a very slippery, wet snake if I can help it. Also, he has scales that are a little rougher than a tropical snake, so it takes a little more to get the shed going on him. But I have a hard time leaving a snake with shedding on him. I have to remove it. It bothers me. And just because they're venomous doesn't mean that they still don't deserve to be taken just as good care of as if they're a non-venomous snake. Like I said many times, if you're afraid of dealing with a snake, then you shouldn't own that snake. He's not very happy right now. What we're doing, as you can see, he's thrashing around a lot. It's not because he's in pain, it's because he's being restrained. And snakes don't like being restrained, so that's why I rarely will pin a snake's head down, because that definitely causes them to want to become agitated and fight back. Now he's doing the next best thing, which you can't tell on the video, is he's musking. And copperheads have a unique musk smell. Some people say it smells like cucumbers. I don't think so. But it's definitely something that if you smelled it once, you would recognize it again. It's a nasty little smell, and by the time I get done here, I'm going to smell like it too. He's either going to be able to whip the tail out of this container and smear it all over me, or just the fact that I'm going to have to get down to his tail, I'm going to end up with it all over me. So it kind of makes the fact that I took a shower last night void. They're going to have to take another shower when I get done with these guys today. As you can see so far from here all the way down, his shed is all the way off. Normally, and in this case it's not doing like it usually does, but normally once you break it and start it, you just usually pull it right off of him in one piece. But he definitely is a little drier, and he's not a tropical snake anyway, so he really shouldn't be overly moist. I shouldn't have him in like a tank that's moist. This is also obviously a lot simpler to do if you have two people working on the snake. The only thing I have to do is I have to keep watch that he hasn't backed himself down the tube a little bit while I'm doing this, because when you tube them, you know, they can work themselves back down the tube slowly, and you want to make sure that that does not happen. I don't want to look up and see that his head is in my hands here, because at that point, if his head is in my hands, his fangs can be in my hand very soon, and that's not anything I want to happen. When that happens, it really ruins your day. And we are getting way down there. We moved quite well down his body, getting this off. I'm just lightly moving my fingernail on the shedding, so it's not hurting him, but it is coming off. There we go. Throw a couple paper towels down in here to absorb up some of this water. And at this point here, when you're bit by the tail, if it was a non-venomous snake, I would just simply put most of his body here up into my hand with his head, which I can't obviously do with him. So he's got more of his body here to thrash around, making this a little more difficult than it should be. But like I said, I definitely can't leave shed on a snake. It really bothers me. People do that, and then the next time he sheds, that doesn't come all the way off, and it just makes me feel like, you know, I'm a lousy snake keeper, and I definitely do not want to do that. We're almost down to the tail all the way now. It appears the tip of his tail is shed off, so That's good. We're not going to have to deal with that part. And my wife was here right now, even though she hates dealing with the venomous snakes. She would be the one that would be doing this on the bottom of the snake. I would never ask her to do it toward his head, but the bottom of the snake is not a problem usually for her. Okay, we're so close here to being done. If I can grab his tail here. Here we go. Work on the little bit that's left. Here we got some on the belly scales that haven't come off yet. Make sure we get those too. Around the cloacas, a lot of places where a shed will break and not come off. As you can see, he's safely inside of the tube still. He can't get at me, which is what we're obviously our goal is. We almost got it here. A little bit more. One thing with working with venomous snakes too is you have to have patience. Never ever rush. I learned that very early in my venomous handling career when I was rushing to try to help tube feed a venomous snake, a western diamondback, and I ended up getting bit. Now we got more shed though up top here, so we're going to have to back him down more, which is not what I want. We're backing down right to here, because that's where it first starts. And I'm going to try to do this as fast as possible here, but again, safely. Not rushing as in doing something careless. Alright, so as I get him more and more here, I'm going to push him back up in there, because the farther he's up in there, the safer I am. And we're almost done here. A little bit more. Not much. And we have a beautifully shed copperhead. All the shedding is off of him.